So what we're looking at with the slice is when arms are collapsed, either in a poorly constructed flute, poorly constructed plow, or in some kind of cron type posture. Right? So what do I mean? So if I throw a cut and my opponent takes in this kind of posture right here, right? It's a strong cover for him to make with regards to the direction of force of my action. So he is aligned, he's aligned with the force of my actions coming this way, and he has his structure oriented that way. So this looks very strong. The fact that his point is not aimed towards me, and the fact that his sword is essentially center mass, I can actually use this to collapse the structure and just run him down, run him over. Right? So these are the types of situations that I'm looking to slice. In this case, so I make that same action. I see that he's making that same cover. I'm just going to force him over. If I make contact with his sword where I wanted him to match, I'll just lay my edge along his hands to control his arms and therefore his sword as I push him back. And then if he keeps his hilt lower in the posture, I can actually use this to just crush the sword and slice in at the neck. So generally speaking, I'm looking for my opponent to form this sort of weak structure that's meant to directly oppose the line of the attack, but never actually achieve a strong angle. Let's look at what happens if he takes in plow here and I look to slice. So again, I make this cut, I see him taking plow. And then I see this and I go and make the slice. Well, now as I bring my arms forward, I'm feeling resistance. And look at where his point is. So as I do this, he's just going to either thrust, he's just going to back up and thrust in the face, or if I really get close to him, as you can hear, he can just cut as I try and get control of his arm, because he's achieved a strong position with his plow. So what we're looking to differentiate is, how is my training partner looking to comport themselves in their parry? Are they looking to obtain a strong angle on my sword with their point forward towards me, in which case they can take their turn back immediately upon blade contact? Or are they looking to just make a quick cover in what's essentially broken structure in terms of the direction of force that I'm attacking from? So I cut, I'm looking for the parry, I see the parry, it's broken, I'm going to collapse it, I'm going to push him down. If I cut and I see that he's going to plow, I can just observe the plow and Drucken immediately. The reason that people go to this sort of crowning posture is actually to defend against the Drucken. Like, that's basically why they do it, right? Because if I try and Drucken, if I see him come up here and I say, oh, he's strengthening, right? I see this, and then I go to defend the Drucken, his point is in the way. He's already covered that line again. So what he's doing by making that cron sort of parry is he's forcing me to not Drucken, but rather umschlagen, which is a much bigger action. So as I put a cut, he makes a parry, I cut around, and now it's an easy cover for him to make against my umschlagen. The Drucken is a much faster action, but it's weak against the cron parry, unless we go to slice. So we see that our training partner is observing the Drucken, and they're keeping their point on their opposite side to defend against it. Well, then we just collapse the structure and then slice. Now, the slice in and of itself can be considered a scoring action, but that's not always true. If we're thinking about the various iterations of rules and tournament formats, it's not always true that those types of actions will score, but this is still a very, very advantageous position to work from. So let's say I throw my action, let's say I throw my initial cut, let's say you parry and plow, but then you collapse your structure as I Drucken, and then the slice into that, right? So I'm here, I throw the cut, he parries and plows, Drucken, he collapses the structure, I push him off. Now from here, from the push off, so one more time. So in this case, I hit. If he pushes it a little harder against my sword to defend the hit, I can hit on the other side. There's a lot of things that I can do once I've pushed his center of mass. So he's lost control of his body. He's now moving backwards. I have all of the options in the world to choose from as I'm picking my way out. So there's a special kind of slice, the hand Drucken, right? So it's kind of treated differently in the text. Typically, the way that the hand Drucken works is if I've already gone from a strong position, that might be my training partner cuts into me. So he cuts into me, to me. Good, beautiful, do it again. Cuts into me, I'm taking a strong plow. He sees my plow, and he knows that the next thing that's coming is a thrust, and so he begins to lift his arms. This is still a kran, we're still gonna treat this as a kran. But the difference is, there's an umschlagen coming. If I do nothing from here, I'm gonna get cut and hit here in my right shoulder. So what I'm gonna do instead, as soon as I make this cover, his hands start going up, I'm gonna push his hands down with my foot. So again, it functions just like a slice, but the difference is I'm not pushing his body backwards. I am taking his hands and pushing them down, moving his sword out of the way. So again, my training partner cuts in. Beautiful, do it again. Cuts in. So in this case, he gave me the regular slice. Give me the umschlagen. He gave me the umschlagen, and I was able to take the cut to the face on the way out. That's my video on the slice today.